Transformers animated leader class, Megatron. Now, like most long-term Transformers collectors that I've spoken to about this, it took me quite a long while before I allowed myself to appreciate the animated line. When I first saw the designs of the animated models, my initial reaction was pretty much one of industrial strength horror. I thought they looked atrocious, they were too anthropomorphic, they were monstrously cartoonish, sort of Nicktoons style. And I didn't like that at all. And I must admit, some of the characters I still don't like very much. I really, really dislike the design of the Optimus Prime model and the Constructicons. I think they look awful as well. Far too anthropomorphic, too human for my tastes. But after talking to a couple of people who had had similar reactions, but who had gone on to actually really, really love the animated line and the associative toys, I thought I'd give it a chance, and I started watching the cartoon, and I must say, for anyone who is a fan of Generation 1, or in fact of any of the prior Transformers lines, go and watch it. Go and watch it, because there are so many wonderful little references thrown in there, stuff that only people who have been collecting Transformers since 1984 will know. It's just such a wonderful such a wonderful appreciation shown to long-term fans in that show. And also, despite my initial concerns, it actually does things to fix problems that many of the previous Transformers shows had. The biggest one, for me, certainly, is the fact that these guys, the Decepticons, are at long last presented how they should be. That is, as something to be feared, rather than as more stereotypical villains who are usually hoisted by their own petard. In the animated line, as opposed to Generation 1, where the Decepticons were an omnipresent threat, in animated, they're almost mythological. It seems that most of the Autobots don't even believe they exist. They exist to the distant they belong in the distant past, when Cybertron was torn by furious civil war. And when the Decepticons do actually make their appearance, they are genuinely threatening. They are incredibly powerful in comparison to the Autobots, who are much more civil in design and function. They aren't really designed for combat. An excellent example is in the first season of the animated show, and it's quite a long time before an actual Decepticon turns up on Earth, and the first one is Starscream, and it takes all of Optimus Prime's Autobots to take him down, every single one of them, because he's so incredibly powerful. And as for this guy, he spends a great deal of it incapacitated, thanks to a bit of characteristic treachery from everyone's favourite douchebag Decepticon, Starscream. But owing to events that are far too complicated to go into, he eventually gets reformatted in this earthen form, and he takes out all of the Autobots at once in a matter of seconds, including Optimus Prime. He is monstrously powerful, and the voice actor who plays him is wonderful. Really, really wonderful. He has genuine snide sarcasm and this wonderful aura of threat about him. And as for the toy itself, it's pretty much standard for the animated toys. It's not terribly detailed. But then the animated line doesn't really go in for detail. Detail isn't the point. They all universally have this wonderful minimalist style about them, and this is no exception. It's got quite a few interesting gimmicks in this mode. If you turn one of the rotors, the other one will turn round. It also has some interesting lights and sounds. And that cannon will fire. I've lost the bloody missile from this several times whilst trying to do this interview, so I'm not firing it again. The only real complaint I've got about it in this... some people dislike the fact that Megatron was reformatted as a helicopter. They'd much prefer him to be something more iconic, like a tank or maybe a jet of some sort. Personally, I don't really care that much. It's still heavily militaristic, and with that cannon on the front, it looks damn threatening. I also like the way they've incorporated all of the bits from either mode into the design of the toy rather than having them just lying around extraneously. The only thing I dislike about this toy is the back there. The back is very Generation 1 in design in that it's just the robot mode legs sealed together, and you can see that. You can see that quite easily. I would have liked something more done with these feet, but that really is a minor complaint. I think this toy, it's huge for one thing. That's nice. It's a really big Megatron toy. It's big, it's chunky, and it's very heavy as well, which I like for a Megatron. It's classic Megatron colours, black, grey, and red. It's got a little landing gear down there. And I like it. I like it a great deal, in fact. It's one of all the Megatron toys that exist, this is one of my favourites. And I find that quite difficult to quantify, really. I don't quite know why. It just is. I think it may have a lot to do with the way the character is portrayed in the cartoon, because I think that he is the quintessential Megatron in many respects. Unlike Generation 1 Megatron, who could be a bit of a dick at times. He could be very, very stupid. This Megatron is never defeated because of his own hubris or stupidity. It's never because of events going against him. It's usually due to the sheer tenacity and ingenuity of the Autobots, which is rather nice. And it takes a lot. It really takes a lot when he's active, because he usually wins. He's very smart, very, very powerful, and yeah, it's just a beautiful, beautiful portrayal of the character. Anyway, on to the transformation. Now, look at that. Any issues I might have, and they're fairly minor issues I have with this guy in his helicopter mode, evaporate in robot mode. He looks fantastic. He's beautifully proportioned, very, very articulated. All of his joints are wonderfully tight and ratcheted. He's not going to fall over or have floppy arm or leg syndrome, this guy. He's very much a homage to Generation 1 Megatron. All of his face is very, very, very reminiscent of Generation 1 Megatron. The general shape of his torso. He's very like all of the animated characters. He's almost like a caricature of Generation 1 Megatron. Certain details have been stretched and exaggerated, but it looks bloody good. He looks fantastic. Lots of wonderful features in this mode as well. His Decepticon symbol, if you press it here, he'll speak, and his mouth and brow will move as well. Which is really, really cool. And also, when you're transforming him, he does something which I think will make most Transformers fans have to go in search of a fresh pair of underwear, which is he makes the transformation sound. Look at these, his rotor blades become these wonderful swords. And of course, being a Megatron, he has the classic arm cannon. But there we are. Transformers animated Megatron. Well worth getting. I think he is one of the very best Megatrons ever released, actually. Barring, of course, items such as the Masterpiece Megatron, but then I don't even account them as toys, to be quite honest. They don't exist on the same scale as this guy. This guy you can play with, for one thing, but the Masterpiece figures are not toys. Definitely, definitely not. But yes, there we are. If you're into animated and you like Decepticons, then this is a must-buy. It's infinitely better than the pretty woeful is it Voyager class? I don't know, the smaller one, the deluxe. It's deluxe, I think. The deluxe class Megatron that came before it. That is a woeful piece of shit. This, on the other hand, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Go out and buy it now.